What up? Happy March. It is a snowy Saturday today. And yeah, so I'm going to make another video about long COVID recovery right now. I've been getting a lot of views on the last one, so thank you guys for the support. And I hope for those of you who are dealing with this, you're finding some hope and some recovery. And yeah, so I've been thinking what I'm going to do is make a little 3-part series about the 3 phases of long COVID recovery. Just kind of take a deep dive into it. And yeah, and before I go any further, I just want to say I'm not a doctor or a medical professional. I'm just sharing from my own personal experience and recovery journey. So if you're having some health issues, please go see your doctor and take their advice first. So yeah, it's a beautiful March day, and I'm gonna go inside and get warm, and I'll catch you guys in there. Alright, what up? Alright, so a deep dive into long COVID recovery. We're going to break this into three parts, 3 phases of recovery. And so this video doesn't get too long. I'm just going to dive into phase 1 today. And then, yeah, make a 3-part series on this. So phase 1 of long COVID recovery. This is definitely the scariest phase. And if you're new to my channel too, you can go watch some of my previous videos where I just talk more about my experience with this, and get some more background on me and my experience with this. But alright, so to start off, let's just talk a little bit about what I believe long COVID to be. I know it's being studied, around the world. Millions of people are dealing with this. And it's pretty evident too on, I'm getting a lot of traffic on my last long COVID video, which, goes to show how widespread this is. And it's also, long COVID is also, that's the term we're using for, this post-COVID syndrome that develops. But it's also not new. Viruses have been triggering chronic fatigue syndrome, ME/CFS, this has been going on for a long time. It's just getting more recognition now because the pandemic, this coronavirus pandemic obviously was a mass disabling event and caused a lot of people to develop these post-viral syndromes. So yeah. All right, so let's just touch base a little bit on what I think long COVID is, like what this post-viral syndrome is. And as I've touched on in previous videos, your nervous system and your immune system are one thing. I think we miss that a lot in Western medicine. We like to study all the systems separately, like the cardiovascular system, nervous system, immune system, all these things that your body has in it. And we like to consider them separate, but they're really, you only have one body. They're all one. They're all connected. And we're made up of trillions of cells which regenerate and talk to each other and repair themselves. And it's an amazing body that we've been gifted. I think our bodies are incredibly resilient, but this has also taught me, how fragile we can be at the same time. It's very humbling. And so this chronic fatigue syndrome, like long COVID is a kind of chronic fatigue syndrome in terms of other stressors. It doesn't have to be COVID can trigger chronic fatigue. Health is very complicated. It's not as simple as this is what's wrong and this is what caused it. Sometimes things happen in life and, like you lose a loved one, or going through a really stressful time at work or unemployed. Just life is stressful in general, and like then maybe you catch COVID or a different virus, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of your body's very resilient, but sometimes over life it loses it loses its resiliency because it's taken too much, and you need to take a step back. And I'm someone who's, always pushed the limits in terms of like fitness and really stressing my body out. And I've also, in the past years before the pandemic, lost a loved one that, took a toll on me. And yeah, and then I got COVID, and, maybe that was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm not sure. But I guess what I'm saying is our bodies are so resilient, and we're also very fragile at the same time, and we need to be very in tune with ourselves. And so, all right, so what I'm saying is our bodies are one thing, and when you get something like, when you have long COVID or chronic fatigue syndrome or some other chronic illness, there's not one thing that's wrong. It's like everything is wrong. Like your innate immune system and nervous system have stopped working how they should. For example, it'd be like a computer, and the hardware isn't working properly, so the computer's not functioning the same. That is the same with us. Like when you have something like when you have long COVID or a chronic illness, your body is not functioning how it should be at a cellular level. And so it's very hard to pinpoint. Like that's why all these doctors that are studying it, like there will never be a pill to fix long COVID, because it's an incredibly complex disease, a complex syndrome which your body is stuck in. And so so aside from that, let me talk about also when you have chronic illnesses like chronic fatigue syndrome, like long COVID. I believe a lot of it, as I've said, your nervous system and immune system are not working properly, and I believe a lot of it is also tied to brain inflammation. I believe it's called myoencephalitis, or I forget exactly the full term of it, but you can get a brain infection just like everything else can just like everything else can become inflamed in your body. Like inflammation is good in terms of you need inflammation in your body because it helps heal. It helps heal you. It helps, like, for example, when you get a cut on your arm, the blood clots is a bunch of inflammation that goes there to help heal the wound. Same as, like, say you sprain an ankle, like your ankle gets really swollen because your body, the inflammation actually in itself is healing it. It's sending the nutrients and all the things your body needs to help repair that hurt ankle. And then as the injury heals, you want the inflammation to go away. But inflammation's kind of like a fire in terms of, like, a fire is good, but if it becomes a forest fire and it gets out of control, like the inflammation's all over your body, that's when you become chronically sick, and that's what long COVID is. And so for me, I experienced, like, I had inflammation in my brain. That's why I had so many symptoms. Like, I was literally, when I was really sick, I was having thousands of symptoms per day, literally. Like, all day long, my muscles would twitch, I would jerk, my eyes would twitch back and forth, my vision would become blurry, my heart would race and drop in the chest, like I would have palpitations all the time, just endless. Like I could go on and on, but this all stems back to this inflammation being out of control and like your nervous system and immune system just not functioning as they should. When you're healthy, you know what I mean, your body sends inflammation when it needs it, takes it away, and you have like a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nervous system, and they play off each other in terms of like when you're busy and you're doing stuff and you're being really active or you're working out really hard, you're studying for tests, like you're using your sympathetic nervous system to get all these things done. And then like you also offset this by having your parasympathetic nervous system when you're eating, resting, digesting, repairing. And it's a fine balance that when you're healthy, that you have between this sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. But when you become chronically sick, everything is off. And so it's being proven, if you look it up, like they're finding COVID in your brain. So like
when like a virus gets into your brain, your immune system goes off too to kill the virus, but there's always collateral damage with your immune system in terms of inflammation. So like if COVID got into your brain, your immune system's, sends in the immune cells to get rid of it, but then there's all this inflammation which can cause damage to healthy cells, and that's why like long COVID is such a painful thing, because you essentially have brain inflammation and your brain now needs to heal, and this can be a long process, and that's why you have so many symptoms. So like when I was at my worst and I had all this brain inflammation, your brain's overactive. Like it's sending, normally, you're in control of your brain, like in your thoughts, and like your brain's not sending signals like of like fight or flight when they're not necessary. But when you're stuck in this chronically sick state, your brain's inflamed, it's overactive, it's sending signals to your body that like something's wrong all the time. And that's why it's so uncomfortable. There's so much pain, and there's like so many weird symptoms. Like, you know what I mean? If you have long COVID, you know what I'm talking about. There's just endlessly crazy weird symptoms, and that's because your brain's inflamed and your nervous system's stuck on overdrive, and your nervous system's been damaged, and just everything is out of whack. And so the first thing you need to do in phase 1 of this like recovery process is realize like you have to accept that you're sick and that you're going to be sick for a while. Now this is a fine line, because you have to accept that you're sick. You have to accept that you're going to be sick for a while, but you also have to believe and understand that you are going to get better, and this isn't going to be forever. And so that's a very fine line of like, you have to accept that you need to recover, and you have to set up your life to allow for that. So you have to like try to simplify your life as much as possible in phase 1, because essentially this is what's going to happen. In like when you have long COVID, your brain's inflamed, your nervous system, your immune system are not working properly anymore. Like your whole body, all the cells in your body, like nothing is communicating and working properly. And so if you think about like a pendulum on a clock, in the beginning, like you have all these symptoms and they are going all over the place. Like, and you have to accept that like this is because your body is just in a chronic state of illness, and you have to give it time and accept that it's like this right now. But over time, these symptoms will slowly start to stop until they finally settle in the middle in terms of like this pendulum. It'll finally come to a place where like you're not experiencing all this, but you have to understand that this isn't going to happen overnight. This isn't going to happen in a week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months. And it's like, and I'm sure everyone's timeline is different, but like for me, like I had to put this in perspective of like, this is going to take at minimum a year to like start to get my life back. And like, I'm now into 2 years, and like now I'm very much on the brink of like full recovery, and I'll go into that later. I still have some stuff, but yeah, it's like, you know what I mean, my pendulum's at the middle and it's like stopped, and I'm rebuilding myself, but that will be for a later video. So we're talking about phase 1 right now, where the symptoms are just all over the place, and like you have to accept these symptoms, and you can't like resist them. Like they're so scary, and that's like, this is the hardest part, is like, I remember in phase 1, like I would have like panic attacks, and like I was feeling so anxious and depressed, but that's also due to brain inflammation and like your body being overactive and it can't relax. So like when you're in phase 1, the most important advice I can give you is to accept you're sick, and to accept that you're going to be sick for a while, but to understand that you will get better if you do the proper things and give yourself time. And you know what I mean? You have, and you, so aside from that, you also have to tell the people around you that are closest to you that you're not doing so well, and that You know what I mean? You're going to need time for yourself, and you have to make the time to slow your life down. In phase one, the most important thing you can do is like, because let's just say, you don't want to put a timeline on any of the phases, but like, let's just say phase one and minimum, like you have to give yourself like 6 months of like, I need 6 months to like rest and recover and simplify my life and accept that I'm sick and rearrange my life so that I can maximize the amount of rest and also reduce the amount of stress in your life as much as possible. Because your body's stuck in this sympathetic overdrive mode, and you need every day to remind yourself you're safe, your body can recover from this, and get yourself in that parasympathetic state. So you have to reduce stimulus and do things that are calming, like meditating, deep breathing, and just give yourself room to accept like the pain and that you're sick and that it's okay. Like you have to tell yourself it's okay. I am sick, but I am going to get better. You have to just reframe your negative thoughts and just realize like, yes, I'm having all these symptoms. I'm having this pendulum of symptoms. Things are a little out of control right now, and I need to just try to slow down, accept like that this is very painful, and I will get better though. That's phase one is by far the hardest because you're having so many symptoms all day long. Like you never feel safe. You're in constant pain. You probably can't sleep. But just know you have to give yourself some time to let your body and your nervous system relax and rest. And as this pendulum is just swinging back and forth, like that's phase one of like where things are just, you're experiencing so many things going wrong because like everything is wrong. Your immune system, your nervous system, nothing is working properly. And that's why you're experiencing all these insane symptoms. And something else I've realized is when I was like this, I was definitely also experiencing like depersonalization and derealization. Like it felt like I had no control over my body. It felt like the whole world was just going by and like I was just stuck in this body that I had no control over. And like, it was such a crazy experience because like even my vision every day would like, I couldn't describe it. Like it would feel like, say I was sitting in a room and someone turned the lights on and off really quick. Like, you know, that feeling of like, yeah, someone turned the lights on and off really quick, and that's what it would happen to my vision. Except no one turned the lights on and off. It would just like go off and then right back on, and it was like it was like I was blinking, but I wasn't blinking. It was just the most surreal experience. But again, these are all symptoms, like things that are so strange and so hard to describe. These are signs of brain inflammation and your brain trying to heal itself and make new connections. And we'll get into this in later videos. Like you need to start phase one is when these symptoms are like this, and then as the symptoms slowly come to them, like they'll slowly become less bad. That's when you kind of have to start to progress your recovery. But this is like phase 2 and phase 3. So we're just talking about phase 1 in this video. So like when you're experiencing these terrible symptoms that are going all over the place, like yes, you need to just rearrange your life to make it as least stressful as possible, and to find time every day to just relax and try to rest as much as you can, and just realize like this terribleness will pass, but it's not going to happen overnight. And you have to reframe all your negative thoughts of like, when you start thinking like, I'm never going to get better, I'm never going to do this, I might like, you know, I had terrible thoughts of like, there was days, I remember one night it was so bad that I actually thought I was going to die. I've never experienced something like that. Like my heart was racing so fast. It was literally insane. But anyway, you have to reframe yourself of like, reframe the negative thoughts of like, this is temporary, this is going to last for a while, I am sick right now, but this is going to get better, and find a way to just accept what you're feeling and just kind of breathe deeply and just relax into the pain, if that makes sense. And it's difficult. That I'm making it sound simple, but it's a very difficult thing to do. And so yeah, that's phase one. The main lessons from phase one is just try to find a way to relax and accept that this has happened to you, and accept that you've kind of hit rock bottom, and just you're gonna have to build yourself back from nothing. And like, you have to start to view it as an opportunity instead of like the worst curse of your life, because it feels like the worst thing that's ever happened. It probably is. For me, it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my entire life. But you have to start to look at it as like, at least I'm still here. At least I have this opportunity to build myself back and to learn about health and how to stay healthy, and how to deal with life when the chips are down. All right, what else do I have for you? Yeah, I think that's about it for now. Yes, the main takeaways, as I said, is like, what is long COVID? What is this chronic fatigue syndrome? It's really just when your immune system and your nervous system, they've stopped working properly. There is inflammation in your brain. Your brain is overactive. Your body's just stuck in fight or flight mode. You're having all these symptoms because your brain's sending signals to your body that you're not safe, that everything's wrong. And you just have to try, the main thing you have to do is get your body to start telling your body, this is horrible, but I'm going to get better. I'm safe. Like, you have to breathe, meditate, relax, and just breathe into the pain and know that it will pass. And like, the pendulum of all these symptoms will slowly come to the middle, and you just have to reframe all these negative thoughts that you're having. All right. I think I'm going to leave it there for now. Drop some comments down below, like, comment, share, subscribe. If you're going through this, I'm sorry. But just know you will get better. And the getting better is a decision. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to retrain your body physically and mentally from nothing. But that will be a start in phase 2, when you really start to retrain yourself. And we're going to leave it at, if you're in this phase 1, just try to find a way to reduce the stress in your life, and just rest a lot, and remind yourself, reframe your negative thoughts that like, you can get through this. This is really painful, but it will slowly get better. All right.